Guys, welcome to Energy in Motion. We are so excited to be in Joshua Tree with the amazing artist and herbalist Melissa Parke of Parke Studios, and we're just really happy to be here. So thanks for having us.
I'm so glad you guys are here.
Yeah, thank you for having your the space is amazing.
Yeah, it's magical.
It's special.
The whole place is magical.
Yeah.
And you gave us the perfect excuse to come out here.
I
and
know.
spend a weekend in Joshua Tree with amazing sky and view.
I
and
know.
stars
You guys are going to have some beautiful sunsets, and the sunrises are actually even more spectacular. I don't generally get up for those, but I peek out my window every once in a while and they're like, whoa. Yeah, it's crazy.
Love that.
Yeah.
Can you start by telling us what is the most joyful part for you of what you do?
Gosh, wow. I think for me, being in that space of creation, whether it's a painting or sort of a crafting herbal project, being kind of in that zone feels kind of like the most alive that I can be. I guess I think I'm such a deeply creative being when that's kind of not active or shut off for whatever reason. I don't feel alive. So when I'm in full creation mode and things are flowing really beautifully, it's like that spark of really living and being truly in your place of aliveness.
It's your purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, your purpose.
Really connected to that.
Yeah.
Is there a thing that you do when you aren't connected to that? How do you get back there?
Yeah, I feel there's been a lot of reasons or a lot of sort of things in my life that have taken me from being able to be in that space of creativity, and one of them has been really severe chronic illness. And so when you're kind of in that and in that kind of battle, in that zone, I think rest is the most helpful. When I'm not so much in that space of dealing with illness and health stuff or other kind of life things that get in the way, I find I do a lot of my creating when I'm sleeping or dreaming. Like if I'm ever kind of stumped for a way I want a painting to go, I generally just sleep on it. I put it to bed, and then in the morning it's shifted. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense. I say the same thing if I'm stuck on something. I usually wake up with a renewed direction and a clarity.
Yeah. Or I put it away. Like I take like an official break and I start a new canvas. I'm usually working on multiple paintings at the same time, so I think that it helps to kind of switch them out, because every time I put that new canvas in front of me, something else kind of comes together. I mean, in music too, just having a litlittle movement,
a little fun, a little
situational helps. Hello. Is there room? Oh my God, she's so dirty.
She's totally fine.
Okay.
She's like, I want to be a part of this. I love having a dog available in our conversation.
Do you have room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're so cute.
So, yeah.
When it comes to like you being in those spaces and creating, and obviously I know one of the ways you seem to deal with any creative block that comes up in the moment is resting it out, but is there any other way that you know, any space or any other way that you sort of cope with dealing with the blockages?
I find that mixing up my mediums too. There's times where I can get stuck in kind of a color palette, and when I switch that completely and I start introducing colors that that I'm not necessarily drawn to in the moment or I haven't been working with in a while, can sometimes lead to to something else. Like it just mixes it up, you know, it kind of jostles things. And experimenting, I mean, that was more color, but experimenting with new mediums, like whether that's like whatever tea I'm drinking, and who knows what color that's gonna produce or help to kind of nourish and support, or I don't know, I was thinking of working with sand soon, and like putting some sand in the paint and letting it dry and just have that nubbly texture. It's kind of a medium thing that I need to expand. Like it's a message that it's time to expand. That.
I love that you incorporate the elements around you, and you've actually not only done it in your space, but you do it in your creations, you know, in your paintings. You use the tea that you're drinking to tint the paintings, and the sand. Like, that's just amazing, because it's sort of, you almost gift that to whoever takes the piece, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a different form of plant medicine. That kind of all happened a little bit by mistake. I was in the middle of my herbalism studies with the Gaia School, just pure magic. It was a year of just intensive magic transformation. And like I had said before, I had taken this 8-year-long kind of break from creating or even painting. And I had just begun my journey with Schizandra, the berry, drinking Schizandra tea, which shakes up your whole sacral chakra, which is your like creative center, which had been blocked, like not working, not spinning, nothing. So I'm drinking Schizandra and I'm starting to feel a little spicy, and like, okay, well, I'll just go buy a canvas. And just, I had all my mom's old paints and watercolors just sitting in a box. I'd been carrying them around with me for years, and I'm like, all right, I guess we'll take the lid off the box. And I don't know how it happened, but I ended up pouring some Schizandra on the canvas, and it goes on as red, but it dries as blue. And that sort of process of watching it dry, it was like, huh, okay. And so from there, I just kept sort of experimenting, and it was really important that I was utilizing the herbs that I was also kind of drinking internally, because I would have this plant meditation with them and then kind of share them with the canvas, and it just became this whole meditative process. Yeah.
Rituals.
Yeah. Rituals.
I know you
so
love that
beautiful.
word.
I
so.
do. It's like such a special word.
It is. Yeah.
I was actually doing research on rituals, and the definition is a very religious one. You know, it's just a very kind of religious context, and I'm like, that's not my definition of ritual, like at all. It doesn't have to be religious. It's something that brings you back into yourself and back into like fully, like brings your soul back into your body, so that you're fully kind of manifesting yourself.
Is there something that triggered that? No, sorry. Is there something? He loves me, that fly.
The fly thing.
Is there something that happened or that you went through that created that interest in rituals? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so it's been a really, as for all of us, it's been that like just winding journey. You start somewhere and you have a plan, and you realize you get to some other place that, whoa, that doesn't look like anything how I planned. And I mean, that's life, right? It's beautiful in so many ways. But what was the question?
Where your
sorry,
where your love for ritual came from?
Oh, yeah. So. Yeah, part of my journey, part of my pretty intensive journey has been with Lyme disease. And so I think as kids, we have these rituals, and these things that we do that make us feel good and are super fun, and kids are so beautiful that way. It's just like this really free, that's just the way they play. And then, you know, life catches up with you, and oh my God, is that gold leaf?
Yeah.
What is it doing here? Yeah, it's actually kind of important.
Excuse me, everyone.
Sorry.
I'm on a rescue mission.
Where did that come from?
I think it's on the table. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
And we've got another chicken.
Here he
nugget.
comes. Yeah.
He's like, I choose the guy behind the camera.
So when you're dealing with sort of chronic illness or any other kind of life trauma, let's say, I think some of those rituals dissolve into like protocols and treatments or something like really grueling to get through a situation, and you lose the beauty in it all. You know, so all this stuff that you're doing for self-care and whatever medications or herbs or supplements or treatments or home treatments, like all of that just becomes kind of just chaotic and tedious. And so a big part of you know, my transformation back into health or coming, you know, it's been slow and it's still happening, but coming back into vibrance and health has been reclaiming like the beauty of taking that moment to turn that back into a ritual. Like this is actually an act of self-love, and this is just something really special I'm doing for myself. Yeah, and I think that's where kind of the spirit soaks came about, is because I was doing all these detox baths. Like baths were one of my huge treatments, and I was at a treatment center in Reno and having to do all these crazy detox baths, and I used to love bathing. I mean, it was like my favorite thing to do. Yeah. So I think creating the spirit soaks and these really powerful botanical and herbal baths was like brought me back into just the joy of it, the joy of this really sweet, special moment of self-love.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been really hard.
It took a little while to kind of like switch it. It's like you're switching that in your brain from like something horrible and awful that you have to do to get better to something like just really special that you're taking the time out of your day to do for yourself.
What a journey.
Yeah.
And a gift that you turned it into something that you can share with other people.
Yeah. It's
really
definitely
cool.
it's been a passion project for sure. I mean, yeah. So we'll see.
It's something new that I'm learning about you. I think that we're both learning about you, but it's also interesting because I'm sure there's other people out there that are moved by your experience with Lyme disease and your sort of transformation through it, and that your paintings are also depictions of those transformations with what you intake and with your detoxes and with the herbs. And so it just makes it so much more, as we were talking earlier, you know, when we get to connect with the artists, we feel their work in such a different way. And even just in this moment, it was sort of like an aha moment for me, like, whoa, there's medicine in these paintings, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, on a metaphorical level and
definitely these paintings have helped to bring me back to life too. I mean, for creative people, when that creativity goes away for whatever reason, I mean, it's like your kind of purpose for living is, it just becomes really confusing and really painful, because you're not quite sure if it's going to come back. Is this a temporary situation? So when it did, it was just this like, joy, and it was just flowing out of me nonstop. And my mom was also an artist, and we used to create together. I was at the time a jewelry designer, and she was a painter, and we sort of shared studio space, and we were kind of each other's co-creators. Like any piece of jewelry that I made was approved or worn tested by her, and any painting that she created was kind of, you know, run by me for not approval, but, you know, like, yeah, amazing, beautiful. And so when she passed away, so that was kind of also part of my 8-year and 3-month break. It was she was gone, And so that was another reason why my creativity, I think, kind of just the lights went out. And so when it came back, I was like, okay, I'm using her paints, first of all, which is like
magical.
Incredible. I was like, okay, am I allowed to do this? How do you feel about this, really? And I think she gave me the thumbs up because it just all seemed to flow really well. And yes, I feel like I'm able to kind of carry on her legacy. I mean, our styles were very, very different, and in a really beautiful way. But that feels good now. It doesn't feel excruciating. Like, there were a few times in those 8 years that I had tried to design a piece of jewelry, or I tried to like pick up a paintbrush, and it just felt so unbearable. So when I was finally able to do it and it felt good, like it felt really joyous, I was like, okay, that's like good timing.
Found her.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been tangled up. My creativity's definitely been tangled up in those kind of two traumas.
Yeah, didn't they happen about at the same time?
I had sort of been struggling with Lyme for a really long time, but just kind of misdiagnosed and really mismanaged by doctors and people, and had kind of been going in and out of pretty severe illness when she was still here with us. And then it wasn't until a little bit later that I was officially diagnosed. I mean, my health definitely went down kind of for the count after she passed away. And I know those things are probably...
It's a lot to handle.
Yeah, they definitely go together.
Yeah, that's a big, cross to bear.
Yeah. So, but I'm in a good place with it. I mean, the Lyme piece is still really, really confusing. It's still really misunderstood. But I feel like my art and sort of creating and crafting is part of my healing and part of my therapy almost, like my daily therapy.
What brought you back to it after 8.5 years? Like, what triggered that?
I honestly think it was Shazandra. Like, I do. Have you experienced?
No, but now I want Shazandra
We're gonna go
because
get
I
it
need to
today.
go see what's gonna happen.
Okay. I have a friend who's going to
We'll do it on the new moon.
Yes!
Today.
I'm gonna give you guys some. Yes! Oh my gosh. Can you boil water?
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Oh my
hook you up.
goodness. Cut to dancing naked around the fire. Who knows what's gonna happen?
Our boyfriends are going to be like, see ya.
Melissa, what did you give us?
She is such magic medicine, and I have a friend who's going through the Gaia program right now, and I think this coming weekend they're going to journey with Shazandra, and I'm like, watch out, things shift. She's a shifter.
I love that.
She's
she?
When I say she, no, when I say
She's the
she, I'm
medicine.
referring to the berry.
I didn't know if it was somebody that created or did something with the berry.
No, I sort of always, from our herbal program, and we just always refer to them as like she or he or...
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
But she's magic. She definitely awakens sort of creativity and sensuality, and she gives you energy. I don't recommend drinking her in the evening. She fortifies you, but not in the way that coffee does. She sort of gives you this, superpowers. She gives you superpowers.
I love super, but do you drink it often?
I do. I drank it for 100 days in a row. Whoa. Which is how people generally, when they feel aligned with her, work with her. You want to do it 100 days in a row. And so I did that, and then I was like, okay, I think I need to take a little bit of just a break, and I think I'm ready to start working with her again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
It sort of awakened me to this whole...
I've never heard of it.
She's so feminine, and she allows you to kind of, she's beautiful for men and for women, but I think for women specifically, she allows you to kind of step into that feminine power even more, or with more confidence, or more kind of like Earth Mama, like I am here. Yeah. So I'll give you some, and you guys can even take it home and play with it at home after your camping situation. But yeah,
I love that. I know when we talked to you, when we called you, when we were talking about meeting up with you, you've mentioned to Anna and me that your art is so much different now that you've come back to it after the 8.5-year break. Can you talk a little bit about what your art was like and what it's like now and that evolution?
Yeah, you know, it's funny that you say that. I was looking at photos from my portfolio. I went to art school. I was going to be an art teacher. I went through the whole master's program at RISD, but my portfolio to get into it was all my art from college. And I was looking through that the other day, and it's so dark. Like there's this wild kind of movement, and these circular motions and things with like black and dark blue, and I was still using natural elements. Like I was kind of incorporating a lot of feathers and leaves, and but it felt very tornado-like, very stormy, very probably a little angry, just moody. Yeah. Whereas my paintings now, they still have movement. And they can still look kind of like there's definitely a lot of clouds and cosmic stuff, and there's definitely movement happening, but the palette is just different. It's lighter, and it just feels more joy. Like there's a lot of gold happening too. I'm feeling really like I just want to drench myself in gold, like just gold everywhere.
Well, we had a gold leaf entry.
We did. I mean,
set, so
wandering.
Awesome. That was perfect.
Yeah.
And the tones. A lot of the tones that I've seen you work with, they're very, natural tones, and which is in and of itself a different energy than the blues and the darks. Yeah. Not that those aren't beautiful as well, because But
it feels calmer in a way. Like even that painting that we'll look at in a little bit on the table, like obviously that sort of cloud mass over the so-called mountains looks like it's moving and doing something. But the palette feels very calming to me.
And it's warm.
It's warm. It's like all these kind of earth tones, and it's definitely been shifting even more so since moving here. Like there's something about the palette of the desert that just, it's like, it just makes me take a nice deep breath, and I feel really calm, and kind of these muted greens and clays and rose colors, and it just feels yummy.
What did you want to be when you were a little girl?
I think I still want to be this thing.
What is it?
I know. I wanted to be a singer. Like 100%. I was like, I wanted to be on stage. I would have been a backup singer. Like that would have been okay. I really wanted to be a backup singer for James Taylor. James Taylor is big on the East Coast. So that was like my dream. I grew up listening to his music while we were sailing on boats and at the beach and on Martha's Vineyard, and it was just kind of our family music. I was like, I'm gonna be a backup singer for James Taylor, and I just these dreams of auditioning and going so beautifully. And then I sort of did chorus in high school, and I got really made fun of. Like it was just a time. I mean, I don't know if these times have changed, but back when I was in high school, it was like those sort of creative things were not even remotely accepted. And I don't know if that's different now, but yeah, so that kind of just faded really quick. I was taking singing lessons, but definitely being like made fun of a lot for it, and I was really, really shy. I mean, I still can be really, really, really shy. So I don't know if life on the stage is going to work out, but I still like to practice in the car.
You still can dream.
I still can dream. And I'll still be a backup singer if someone needs me, but yeah. No, I do. It's been like a lifelong sort of thought.
Journey.
Yeah.
If you had, sorry,
No, you go.
If you had to describe yourself in one word,
Oh my God.
what would it be?
Just one word.
Just one.
Golden. No, totally kidding. No. Intuitive. Intuitive. But also, no, either it's intuitive or like passionate. Yeah, either one of those I think would be really good. That's hard.
That's a hard question.
That is a hard question. It's a good question.
If it makes you feel any better, it usually stumps people. But
Yeah.
usually really cool things come from it. So
Yeah.
It's also really interesting to see the words that people choose and then look at their art, because oftentimes they're connected, and looking at your art and hearing more about you and your story and your journey totally, resonates. The word intuitive totally resonates.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There's definitely been times where that intuition has been blocked, or we sort of lose our confidence in in our intuition, which I think is like dead on for everybody. It's like usually the first thing we think of is it, but then our lack of self-confidence kind of just gets it all muddy and confused. So
How do you get back to that place?
So usually I'll have a ping about something, like my first thought, and I'll second guess it, like we all kind of can do, and I'll need to have a second ping about it. Like I'll need to have that second exact same ping to be like, okay, thank you, like, yeah, I had it right, and that usually happens. Yeah, I don't know how else to describe that.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. It takes a second ping sometimes.
I love that.
mean.
I love that.
Yeah, or a louder ping, right?
Yeah. Ping is now a word in our vocabulary.
Yeah.
But I also think that muddy is a really accurate way to describe that. When she said that, it's like the more I get involved with my intuitions, the muddier they get. And it's kind of nice that you get it again.
Okay, so Shazandra, I'll say one more thing about Shazandra. She sharpens your intuition.
Oh God, I'm gonna come back fine.
You just get like really clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I welcome clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the muddiness can come from so many different things, though. It's like there's so many different things at play, not necessarily what's happening in our self-esteem or self-confidence. It's like, our biology is different from day to day, and our, astrological situations are different from day to day. We're in entirely different scenarios. So there's so many ways that it can just be, it can get muddied.
Well, just all the moving parts.
Right.
So
It is
many
very
things.
complex.
Is there anything that you really wanted to work out in life and it didn't, and then you look back on it, hindsight 2020, you're very happy that it turned out the way it has?
Like a job or a relationship or something.
Like a time that you were on a path and that you were redirected,
Yeah.
maybe unexpectedly, and you look back and kind of
Maybe in
appreciate-
correlation to your career and your work
Yeah.
in artistry, like how...
I mean, I think the biggest kind of like oops, or not even an oops, like, okay, totally changing directions came after I had just finished this master's program at RISD, like devoted my entire life to wanting to be an art teacher. And then a few months after I graduated, my mom ended up getting sick. And so I sort of stopped everything and took that year and a half to kind of, help her, move into whatever realm she's in now. And so, you come back and you think about, oh, should I go back to being an art teacher now? It's like none of that even makes any sense. Even there were so many parts of potentially being an art teacher that I was really, really excited about. And I think in that moment, I decided to be on a much stronger path of healing. And I went back to school for massage therapy, and I went back to school for nutrition and Reiki, and just started my super intensive studies of healing modalities. And that sort of became my new foundation for everything. Even though my art now is kind of at the forefront of it all, I think all of those things that I was learning, I was needing for my own healing. I didn't necessarily learn those things in time for them to help my mom. So I was using those things to help myself in my own healing journey. And that was one of the biggest kind of, we're going this way moments.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you have the opportunity to teach just in a different way. So
in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So it comes full circle.
Yeah. And it's I don't even know if I would use the word teacher. It's more like a guide. I love that word. Being a guide for people. That feels really nice. So you're in charge of your own healing,
Right.
But you need kind of someone to just guide you and hold the space and yeah.
Do you have a life motto?
What would that be? What's an
don't
example?
have to
Like a
have
mantra? Or
Yeah, like a mantra
like
or a motto or something that, you constantly go back to that keeps you on your path.
I think one that I used to use, and it's so funny you say that, because I'm feeling the need of re-infusing my life with some of those daily reminders. Just the simplest one that I used to sit with every single day was I'm love and light. And I know that sounds like really kind of like very LA and kind of not cheesy, but there's something about it that it breaks through all the bullshit, like boom, with a really clean slice, and like that is all we are. That's all we are.
Simplify.
It simplifies it. It's like it removes all the stress, all the pressure, all the expectations. It's just it's a simplifier. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me of that. I'm going to start using that. Yeah.
Sometimes these encounters really do these magical things where, like, you'll say something we really need to hear, and maybe even Shazam might be the one for the day.
Shazandra. But yeah, that's what it should be called. Shazandra.
Shazam. Anna's going to be drinking Shazam.
I think I already did, guys.
That's what it should be called.
Shazandra is going to be like Shazam.
Yeah.
But anyway, maybe that's it for today. And, what I'm saying is there's these sort of moments of alchemy in these conversations that do that. Guys, I had an audition for this thing called Shazam, and that's what happened in my brain.
In there.
Yeah.
Wait, for real?
Yeah.
Oh my god, okay.
For this project. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's good. I mean, it is. Once you drink it, you'll be like, yeah, Shazam. So
he's like, I need to know what's going on.
Chugga, come on up here, pumpkin. He's funny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to go from there. I'm like,
Shazam.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
So what is your hope, I guess, for the ritual side? Can you tell us just a little bit more about
the
that.
Parke rituals.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still feels very much in its baby stage.
Yeah.
It took a while to be birthed. I think, I think all of us, when we're kind of birthing things, get hung up on the perfectionist and all these things have to be perfect before we put it out into the world. And there was a moment where I didn't even have the packaging. Like, the packaging, it took a really long time. It's had 3 incarnations now, and but it's officially been birthed, and it's officially out there, and it's officially in a packaging that I feel really good about. It's like recyclable and biodegradable, beautiful. And it just makes sense. It all comes together in your kit, and I think once that feels really good, you can get even further kind of behind putting it out into the world, and that's kind of where I am now. And right now I'm just selling it off my site, and I have just a few retailers, and I'm hoping to expand to a few more really, really special retailers. I don't want to have a big, huge kind of wholesale side of it. That's not my goal, but a few special retailers to kind of help spread the word would feel really nice. And then I sort of gotta get out there and do some jamming. Like, I'm a really, I like to stay at home with my puppies and, what's the word? Not intuitive.
Introvert.
Introverted, yeah. I feel, as I get older and older, I become even more and more introverted. But there's a part of when you're selling something and you have an actual product, you kind of have to get out there and do some craft fairs. And so maybe after the holidays, I'll be gearing up for that. But yeah, right now it's kind of just, it's slow. It's on like a really good, manageable pace. I can still craft it out of that teeny room over there, and that feels good.
Yeah. You mentioned briefly when we were in your beautiful space looking at it that there's challenges for you in that as an artist.
Yeah.
Can you speak to those a little bit, to share and maybe give a little bit of advice on how you get through those things?
Yeah, I think being such sort of an introvert and kind of just my natural tendency is to be shyer. I think the marketing side of things, and asking people to buy your stuff, even paintings. It's a little easier for paintings. Not quite sure why, but that piece for me has always been super challenging. I had a jewelry design business, and again, I was sort of in charge of every aspect of the business, from like creating the line and putting it together and fulfilling the orders, and then marketing. Yeah, that marketing side was challenging even back then. I think I utilize Instagram because it's the most creative platforms for me out there, and I do love kind of capturing the moment or the photo, and even like taking the time to kind of educate people about the herbs or what's in the painting or how it was crafted, or the education piece I enjoy as well. It's just that pressing that post button. What is that? That's like really terrifying. Like pressing the send or post button. Yeah.
And you're exposing yourself, it's exposing, and it's we get it, because I'll never forget the day we decided to post our first Energy in Motion post.
Right?
And you just sort of take this leap every time you post.
You're like, here we go.
It's like, all right, rip the Band-Aid off. We got to do it at some point, but it's really hard to do that. And then you do revisit it, especially when there's things that are quite special and intimate.
Yeah.
To share.
I think that's the perfect word for it. It's like this creation that you've spent all this loving time creating, and this intimate time sort of with all the aspects involved, and then kind of exposing it to whatever. I mean, there's so much beauty that comes from exposing it as well, but there's some weirdness too. It's just weird.
And it's the risk of the weirdness, if it comes or not. Right? It's the unknown of the response.
Yeah.
But sometimes that response catches you, at least in our experience. Like, we wouldn't be here with you had we not ventured to reach out to you.
I know.
You know? And we've had that experience countless of times, and I'm sure you've had them in your business as well, you know, where you expose yourself and take that leap, and it's so profoundly received.
And you meet amazing people.
Amazing.
Which lead to amazing experiences. Yeah. There's such beauty in it all. And just kind of like a little snippet of terror.
Yeah. Well, I think too, there's magic in being excited and terrified at the same time.
Yeah.
That it's proof that you're constantly pushing yourself.
Yeah.
And putting yourself out there. And the reason that we created Energy in Motion is because we feel like being an artist. I've said this over and over, is such a brave thing to do.
Yeah.
And for you to hit post over and over again is just really brave, and it also is a gift to help other people follow in that path as well.
Yeah, you're I mean, I think if you're not kind of jumping off some sort of cliff on a really regular basis, it's so easy to just get stuck in that stagnant. Not that jumping off the cliff has to be this like violent thing. You can calmly jump off the cliff, but stagnance isn't good. Is that a word, stagnance? Yeah, okay. It's like saying it. I'm like, I don't know if that sounds right. It is not a good place. Like, nothing really valuable comes from that place. At least for me. Yeah. I mean, my most painful times have been spent because of being in a space of stagnance.
Yeah, for me, it's been very difficult as well to feel stagnant, and that's when I've felt not creative and not the most in touch with my own intuition and my own creativity, and so I completely understand that.
Yeah.
But knowing both, or hearing you and knowing you, what beauty comes out of that stagnant sometimes. So it's such a
oh my goodness,
hard but beautiful process.
Well, it can take quite a jolt to get you out of it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Look, I
not
feel,
every time.
And maybe this is just my personal experience, but I also, it's easy to say hindsight 2020, right? Like, that was such a gift. That was, the hardest, yet the most amazing thing that could have happened. But let's be honest, it's hard. It's hard to go through those stages in life that we all have to face in some way or the other,
Yeah.
For some of us, it's loss. For some of us, it's sickness. For some of us, it's, emotional, or the myriad of possibilities. But that journey, when you are able to look back, and what you get out of that journey is incredible and profound, and moves not only us to do something amazing, but maybe inspire the others,
Definitely. Yeah, when you're in it, you're not recognizing the teacher necessarily, but when you're able to look back, you're like, okay, that was one of my biggest teachers. And now what are you going to do with it?
And at the same time, like, when I heard you talk about it all, I was like, wow, I was really moved by, and it sort of made me cry a little, like my eyes watered, because I thought, wow, you gave 8 years and 3 months is a long time, and you sort of seem like you patiently gave yourself the space to come back to this place in such a way. And maybe when I see your paintings, that's the feeling that I get, like sort of this space where feels very patient, and it feels wide, like it's a big space, And when I hear you talk about that, it almost sounded like you were your own teacher through that journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of have to be at some point. I do have to say, though, that there were times during those 8 years and 3 months that it wasn't a calm, like,
Of course.
graceful, I don't know what the word would be. There was a lot of yelling, a lot of tears. I mean, a lot of, like, fully, deeply, painfully feeling things, which, you know, I think if we're not doing that, like, that has to happen to allow it to move on through properly or fully. But I think looking back now, it feels expansive, and it feels like I've come out of it on this other side, and I'm able to kind of reflect on it gracefully and with thanks, and yeah.
Would there be anything that you would share to young artists that, you know, want to create a business and a career out of their art and their passion and their own gifts?
Yeah, I think it can be really challenging as an artist to stay really streamlined with what you're passionate about. I think, especially when you're trying to create a living out of it, other people's expectations or other people's whatever can kind of get in the way. And to just kind of take moments to check in with your passion for what you're doing. I think an example, there was a while where I was doing some paintings for other people. What is that called? Commission. Oh my God. Commission pieces, which is so challenging, at least for me, because you lose some of the flow, because you already have this person's sort of expectation there, like it's somewhere. Whereas if you're just creating from your heart and that stays really fluid and you're just in that zone, something else comes out onto the canvas or out into the metal or out into the pottery. It feels different. So it's a hard place to stay in, that place of like just authentic passion, like you're doing this because you love it more than anything else on the planet. It's hard to stay in. So sometimes removing yourself from the setting so you can come back to it with those eyes. The business side, I'm probably not the person to ask for advice for that, because I'm still feeling really challenged by that. I do think surrounding yourself with people who are kind of mirroring the positivity and the space, like people that you're inspired by, and even people who are more sort of kind of set into the, set into the, not scene, but like they've kind of made it, or they've a little more success or showings or whatever. I think it's helpful to kind of have people around you that are, so you can kind of mirror what you're really excited about and where you're going, and you have people to look at for inspiration, and mentors. I think having a mentor is invaluable. There's so many times in my life where I haven't had a mentor, and it's like, I just need someone to run this idea by. So I think when you're just starting out, if you can sort of, I don't know, find a mentor that you really, really trust and really, really love. That's why all those chef shows that I was telling you about, I'm just going to get off the subject and talk about chef shows. A lot of these chefs, they go back and they visit with their mentors, these beautiful teachers in their lives, and they're just so adoring of each other. They've had this like really synergistic relationship, and that's really special. And I feel like that was the one thing that I've been kind of really missing throughout my career and creative time is that one person that I can be like, hey, what do you think about this? Will you take a look at this? What should I do about this? Yeah. That was a lot of weird.
No, it actually landed with me because I hadn't thought about it that way, and I can relate to you, and I didn't realize it until you said that. So you just gave me a gift to open up that thought and that process.
I mean, we have these life coaches, right? Like I've used life coaches. I've never used sort of a coach in the creative world, and why not?
Right.
Like why we have all these coaches for food and for exercise and relationship stuff and you know, life, money, and you know, not that we need a creative coach, but someone just as a guide.
Through the paces.
Yeah, I think that would be an invaluable piece of the puzzle.
Well, maybe now that you've said it out loud, it'll manifest.
Maybe he or she is. Maybe they live in Joshua Tree, and we're just gonna meet at the farmers market tomorrow.
Maybe. You never know.
That's the beauty of Joshua Tree too, though. Like this sort of unknown territory that you're getting to explore and adventure, and you don't know who you're gonna meet.
Yeah,
that sounds so much fun. Like so much fun.
I do have to say, for all my sort of shyness and introvertedness, like the people that I have met here, and there have been a few at the farmers market. Like our favorite ceramicist was at the farmers market. Are so lovely. Just such beautiful humans. Yeah. So there's some beautiful humans living here.
Well, maybe that's why you're here.
I know. Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
And it's a mirroring, because the little bit that I know you, you seem like a very beautiful human.
Thank you.
Really?
Yeah. It's gonna make me cry. Oh my God.
It's been such a gift to connect with you.
I know.
I just want to share, like we were saying, from the moment that we reached out to you, it was like this really amazing connection, and you are just so lovely, and we've just been really excited to connect with you and get to know
Thank you guys.
more about you. And
yeah, it's been special. I don't want you to leave.
We're here all weekend.
Yeah, we're here all
We're
weekend.
gonna play and paint and do all that.
Amazing.
Is there anything that we haven't asked you that you want to share, or that you want to say, or you know?
I don't know.
No pressure.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we covered so much, didn't we?
Yeah.
Good.
And thank you for opening your heart and your soul to us and to the viewers, and your home, and now your creative process. Because, like you said, you know, those are the most intimate parts of you, and to share them are sometimes exciting yet terrifying. So we are honored to have them.
Thank you.
Be shared with us.
I just had an idea or a thought, and this has been coming a lot. Can I share?
Yes.
Like another sort of piece of advice.
Yes.
This is like has been happening sometimes in my paintings when I create like a stroke of paint or whatever, and there's not confidence that's coming through the brush stroke, or even like the pouring of you're like, oh no, what's gonna happen? I've had to redo it. I have to paint over it. And the times that I've been fully like connected, like this is what's happening, like in charge, fully confident with, like, through my, body to the hand to the watercolor mixture, and I'm pouring it. It's like a brilliant, it just lays brilliantly on the canvas. So if there's a space or like a way that you can get into that space of confidence with your stroke, or with your, molding the ceramics, or whatever art you're doing, it's powerful. It's powerful, and it just, for me, it's been making all the difference. And I've been using less paint because I don't have to cover it up. You're like, oh shoot.
And economical too.
No, does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's like a.
There's no hesitation. You just sort of.
Let
that
I can just show it through like an arm motion like that.
And probably generates even more confidence.
Yeah.
So that.
You're like, oh, bam. Okay, yeah, we'll do it again, right? Yeah.
feeds into the momentum.
Yeah, and it comes through, and the paint dries with. I mean, water. We all know water takes on. You know, if you say joy, water fills with joy crystals. If you say pain, water fills with pain crystals. So I mean, paint is water-like, or one of the elements that I'm working with, and so I feel like that is fully conveyed on the canvas when I'm in that zone.
I love it.
Wow, we just got into a whole new realm of thinking. Okay, I'm going to explore that even more.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because that is the whole thing of the healing, and it sort of combines everything that you're working with.
Yeah.
You know, and the guiding and the teaching, even if it's through something that's hanging on someone's wall, that is energy that is coming off of that piece.
It is. You know, and these people are buying, I mean, that's such like a beautiful thing. These people buying your pieces to kind of fill up their sacred space. And so you want to make sure that you're passing on that beautiful energy as much as possible. So I'm going to play more with that, and I'll come back to you with more evidence and more.
Which is interesting, too, of your old painting versus your new. When you put it that way, it's like, of course, they were dark, and they were angry. And they had a piece of you, whatever that is, in there.
Yeah. They had some of my anger.
Well, we all got
some
colors to go through.
Yeah.
And sometimes other people need to share in that with the artist. They need to have the permission to be angry or to be sad.
Of course.
And you know, it's just nice in whatever capacity to be able to relate through art.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a powerful part of it all.
Oh, Mama.
So
he's like, are y'all finished yet?
where's Chaga?
He went outside.
Okay.
But I don't think I have anything.
No.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you guys.
having
It's
us.
so beautiful.
It's just been a really beautiful day, and a really a nice connection, and we really hope to support your journey.
Yeah,
Not
and
just
likewise,
today,
I am so excited to kind of spread your message and all the beautiful
that's really
work you guys are doing. I mean, you're sort of just this wonderful outlet for artists and getting the full story. You know, you can look at art, but to know a little bit more about where it's been fully created from is really, really special. So, yeah.
It gives so much value to the work that you all do.
Yeah.
You can't even quantify it. It just really gives some life and some heart behind it.
And it's changing us.
Yeah.
You know? It changes me every time I sit with someone.
Yeah. I mean,
really
you guys get to
powerful.
meet such, like, incredible people. I've watched your videos a ton, so. I know.
you.
You can do, like, a gathering, so you can get everyone together, and, like,
That's
what is the plan?
You know, the coolest thing about energy and motion is we've actually let it be energy and motion, and we have things that we wish and we hope, and I hope that that's the case, and then it will, you know.
I'd love to help support that in any way that
Thank
I can.
you.
We would love your support. We welcome it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And thank you guys for watching and you know, sharing this time with Kelsey and I, Energy in Motion, and Melissa Parke and her beautiful spirit. So we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Thank you.
See you soon.
See you.